Okay, folks, big announcement last week was Sorare. They just signed a partnership with the Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2. So a ton of players and clubs are going to be released into the system, into the market. It's pretty exciting. So I thought what I would do is basically go team by team, do a preview, do a bit of scouting for you, help you plan and prepare for when these players come available. So I think they're talking about late October. I saw something in their announcement is when the clubs will start to be released. One thing to keep in mind is although they have a partnership with Bundesliga 2, they say we have no immediate plans to cover or release those cards. So, those of you thinking, oh, I'm going to jump in, for example, Schalke, they were in the first division last year, so there are cards in the system. You might think, oh, I'm going to go buy these because they'll be playable in game weeks and whatnot. It sounds like that's not the case. So maybe hang tight on that. Although Schalke, decent side, they might bounce back up in a year anyway. So if you do, go ahead and try and grab some of these guys. Certainly, there's a chance they're usable next year. So if we go back, so I want to show you kind of my process and how I scout, the types of information I pull in, and then really compare it to the players on each of the rosters. Before I get going, just two quick announcements. One is I finally gotten back into Twitter. I tell you, I swore off it about 10 years ago. I worked in the sports industry for most of my career, and I just got so sick of just a lot of garbage that was up on Twitter. And so I just stopped using it really for my own personal use. And anyways, but back in it, I know that Twitter's pretty active in Sorare games. So I'll start to be active on this. So you can follow me. It's Sorare Strategy, all one word. And we can chat. And then the second thing is just there's a link at the bottom around I'm a referral. I have a referral account, I guess, with Sorare. So if you click that and you go through to your and you log in and whatnot, I can potentially get a referral bonus based on any cards you purchase and things like that. So my hope is that I'm sharing enough insight with you that it gives you a leg up and you make a purchase, and then I receive a very small amount from Sorare for that. So I thank you very much if you do that. Certainly I want to stay on their roster, so please do use that link. Okay, let's get started. So the main things that I focused on is what I call market value, talent, and form. So for market value, I really rely on transfer market. So here's Furth. This is the bottom club in Bundesliga 1. This is the first club we're going to start with. And you can see here their market value, and you can click through and learn more about each of the players and where they transferred in from, whether they played on any national clubs and things like that. So here you go, top arrivals, top departures, things like that. Bit of goal scoring information. So there's some nice stuff here, but really what I'm grabbing is just what is their kind of market value. That's a good sense of who the best players are and things like that. FIFA Index. This is the rankings for EA's FIFA game. So obviously a very different thing. It's a video game, not real life. Having said that, I do think that using both their overall and their potential gives us some insight. They've got some pretty smart people over at EA. So I do rely on this, especially the potential side. It really helps me. There's no way I could possibly know all these players, so it really helps me to identify guys that might be, pretty interesting, at least in the future. And then SofaScore is a good one, obviously, in terms of checking just live scores and things like that, but also to look in on a club and look at their form. So here on the right, we can see some certain players and how they're playing and things like that for this club, and even compare them across the league and look at deeper stats and whatnot. So if we can put that all together, we land here. So here's what I've created for Furth. So here's the player's name, obviously their position, their age. One thing to note is the underlined players here are players that you can actually go get right now. So they exist in the marketplace already. They might have played for a club last year or something like that. So if you want to kind of jump the gun and you like some of these guys, you can definitely get active right away. And then I've highlighted just kind of things of note, really, the greens and the reds. So market value, this is a bottom ranking side. They may not stick around. Frankly, they might drop to the second division because they're not doing so well, and not a lot of players of value. So you see this Maximilian Bauer, we'll come back to him in a minute, and Cedric Etienne are the only ones over 3 million. But I've also put the previous market value as well, and the change, because I think that's important to see if a guy's kind of rising or dropping. As you can see, some of these sort of maybe more notable players have had a bit of a drop here, 40% drop, 38%. And a lot of these risers are more younger and smaller amounts. So, to go from 220,000 to 330, that's a nice increase, but this guy's got a long way to go to really become more notable. So so we look at this and then we start to move over to the actual talent, and that kind of plays in relation to market value, I suppose. But what we see here is obviously looking for guys in like the high 70s, early 80s would be nice. There's none of those here. There's a 74 for Viergever, and some 72s and 73 and things like that. Nothing really of note, and you'll see this in their form as well. But potential, there's maybe a couple interesting ones. So, high 70s is probably okay. Again, you're looking for someone more in the 80s, but Maximilian Bauer at 77. Adrian Fine here. So Bauer's 21 and Fine is 22, so that's quite nice. So there's some room to grow here. 20-year-old Llewellyn, he's only a 68 right now, but potential of 82. And this Gankum, a potential 79. So, I like those. They've got a lot of other guys like 77s, 75s, and things like that. So, there's a chance here. But what's interesting in the case of Llewellyn and Bauer, so they're both nationals on the U21 squad. And so this is the first U21 squad under new coach Antonio De Salva. This was just a few days ago or a few weeks ago. And they both made the roster here. So there's Bauer and there's Llewellyn. So those are guys I might, certainly if they're reasonable enough in price, I might grab them and hang on to them for a year or two, see how things go. When we look at form, we really, again, don't see a whole lot, frankly. You really want numbers in the high 6s or even 7. I don't know why he has a 7 when this backup keeper hasn't played. You see that again in another higher number here. There's certainly not a lot of relation between SOFA scores, form score versus Sorare's. So it's kind of hard to kind of compare the two, I suppose. But nothing really jumps out as anything all that special, and especially when we look at Sorare scores. So again, these aren't players you're necessarily going to be playing into your weekly game week lineups. As you can see, there's really nothing of note. I mean, the keeper itself is averaging only 42. You might be able to get him cheap, and then you have someone you can play each week. But there's not a lot here. 53 for Hergoda here, I suppose is okay. Only played 60% of the games of the last 5 and 20% of the last 15. So not sure if he's kind of in and off the bench or coming back from an injury or whatnot. And then Abiyama here, not bad, I guess, 46 and 60% of the games, and a young guy, so who's been rising. So maybe that's someone I might keep an eye on as well. But that's basically all there is for Furth. I mean, again, you're probably not buying these guys so that you can play them in game weeks. You're more just maybe grabbing some young guys that might make some noise, get transferred to bigger clubs and things like that. So I hope that helps. The next one's going to be on Bochum, and we basically just kind of go down the list and try and highlight some players for you. So there you are. Thanks again, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.